to Makati City, Manila. My mother had a farm in Canlubang, Laguna. There was a kidnapping threat against me and my family.
Kidnap for ransom activities.
We roasted a lechon for every major event. The Abu Sayyaf bombed 5 locations.
Very interesting art house poem. It is animated and it is a very short. It's very interesting, but it's not a documentary in the traditional sense of the word, but it does have its place.
I thought this one was really cool. It draws you in immediately with this abstract motion graphics that are happening, but the very first lines also bring you in further. You want to hear more of what this fellow's got to say. It's got this sort of narrative that goes through it, and I like the way the date stamps were in the bottom right corner to kind of give you this chronology of events. And I mean, it sounds like an interesting sort of poetic journal of this person's life, and I just thought it was really cool. Well done.
Really cool, because that is the subject matter was very broad, and there could be so many roads it could have gone down. But I liked how all of these little nuanced moments were laced together with the animation. So it just made the story arc very clear on what the character was going through and how he felt. And those emotions came through genuinely and effectively. And I found myself really enjoying it. And I watched it actually twice because I felt like I didn't pick up on everything that I wanted to in the first take. So bravo.
They did a great job with the animation in the film 24. It was a great way to get a difficult message across.
What I found very interesting is that he's alternating between drawing in black and draw with a white background and drawing in white with a black background. So the contrast between the two stories allows you to navigate that difficult situation with different eyes. It's changing, just using barely black and white and gray a little bit without introducing any colors makes that entire message a lot more meaningful and powerful.
The more unique ones I watched, it was short and sweet. It was had really cool animation that I also liked. It also had voiceover telling the story about, I'm assuming the filmmaker, the highs and lows of their life, moving around, and how they grew up. I thought that was an interesting take on how to present a story.
It was very interesting use of artwork. I loved how the artwork set up a poetic narrative. Overall, the narrative was said in a very poetic tone of voice. The music with the artwork with the narrative all set a nice poem for this documentary, which is really rare to see in a documentary. But you could follow the pacing, and it felt like a little poetry book. And people sometimes forget that, yeah, poetry is often displaying what is currently going on in society as well, too. So really, really nicely done.
The decision to make it an animated film and to make it an experimental animated film. So, which I was surprised by going into it. Thought that was really interesting. Loved the art in it. The style of animation was really impressive, along with the score. I liked that, and you know, you follow this whole story of this guy over the course of 2 minutes. It was short and sweet, and got to the point, and still stayed with you, being in that amount of time.
24 was really unique, just to have that kind of disconcerting music in the background, and just the disparate images happening on the screen really forced you to focus on the man's words and his personal story that was so unique. So that was very well done, and the pacing of what he was saying was also well done, and it was hard to catch an overarching theme through the whole thing, other than maybe have to go back and listen to it again to catch the whole unique story. But the way it was presented was very unique, and maybe that was the message, is that this is a unique story, but is also somehow timeless to people living in chaotic situations.
It seemed like the syllables in each poetic line was right around 24. So that was pretty cool to me. At any rate, I really liked the steel drums overlaying the soundtrack in the film. The some of the obviously the animation was pretty cool. If you don't get out of normal academic, you'll be a failure for life. That one stood out at me because it was cool how it went from the mesmerizing animation to the text all over the screen. So it really made you think about what the whole message was of this film.
Love sound design. So good every time. It was so deep, and it's kind of like a 360 degrees experience. Yeah, very, very, very well done. It was just so engaging. I loved how easy it was to follow. That I was just waiting for the next thing to come. I was so excited. And even these intermittent pieces of animation of just the design on the white background were so mesmerizing that I could just watch it forever while still listening to the story. I was really impressed how much engaged I was with the story.
It was beautiful. The graphics and the animation was so cool. I couldn't even take my eyes off the screen. I just really enjoyed the animation. I thought the music was a little off-putting, but I think that was done on purpose because the story is very raw. A boy moving to Singapore that doesn't fit in, and then the violence and getting through childhood that way. It was very unique story, and I thought the voiceover was very well done and the sound, but the imagery was just fantastic.
Really good animation that was well created. I like the way that the pictures moved around. I also think that the director chose a good story to tell, and I think it was real because it didn't have some sort of fake happy ending, but it just showed the truth, and it just suddenly cuts out, and that's what you're left with. I also think that the words that the narrator chose to speak, the tone of his voice, and the colors, only black and white, showed the darkness of the story and the darkness that the narrator must have felt when he was living those experiences.
I think the story is very tragic, but I really like the way the artist uses animation to explain the story. It's like very abstract animations, and it's kind of like broken, and it's just really creative. I really like it, and like the storyline, it's really beautiful.
This one was really different, but I liked it, how different it was, because it was really creative and artsy on how it was done. Creativity was awesome on it.
I realized that through animation, you can actually show violence in a more subtle way, so it's not like as disturbing, which was really interesting to me. And yeah, the way that the story was told was very calming in a way, but then the ending also like really makes you think about the reality of life and how there's not always a rainbow at the end.